Hello, hello. How is everybody today? Welcome to Finding Your Financial Freedom. How many of you guys want to find your financial freedom? Give me a me in the comments. Let me know who you are, where you're calling in from, so that I know who I'm talking to here. I love seeing you guys here, and I'll give you guys, I know it takes a minute for everybody to join and get on, but this this training I'm going to do, I'm actually going to share some slides and things because I've got a lot of information I want to share with you. I want you to see some things. I want you to see some examples I'm going to go through. So we've got a lot of information I want to cover with you today. So this is going to be really, really good information. You're going to leave here understanding how do you find that financial freedom, what you need to be doing in order to get there, what people are afraid of the numbers, and how many people do you actually need to talk to every month to actually get to that number, what programs you should be offering in order to get there. So we are just diving in today. Hopefully this turns out okay and you can see everything all right. See there. So that you can see me down there in the corner there. You know I'm still here with you. All right, so we are talking about your financial freedom and how you get that financial freedom. So in this training today, some of the things that you are going to learn is how to calculate your financial freedom. So how do you even figure out what that number is? And what is financial freedom? Some of you are probably wondering. Like, I call it the financial figure, or the freedom figure, right? So the freedom figure is the number that you need to be able to support yourself and your business, both personally and from your business perspective, right? Because this isn't like, if you want to leave your job, if you want to start a business, this isn't about like, okay, I just need to like replace my income with the revenue in your business, because it's more than just the revenue in your business. This needs to be your net income that also then supports your business expenses. It supports your personal expenses. And I think that's one thing people don't realize. They're like, okay, I'm making 60,000 a year, or I'm making 120,000 a year, whatever your number is. They're like, I just need to be able to go out and make that in my business. Well, the problem with that is that you have business expenses that you're not taking into consideration there. So you always have to make more than what you're making in your job. So you need to know what that freedom figure is for you. You need to understand how much you actually need to make in order to really get the results that you want, in order to really be able to replace that income and not have to go back to work. So we're going to talk about how to calculate that freedom figure for you. We are also going to be talking about exactly how many people you need to talk to each month to hit your freedom figure. So I'm not just going to tell you, okay, this is how you calculate the freedom figure. I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do in order to hit that freedom figure. So those joining me, let me know where you are coming in from. I'd love to hear also what your businesses are, so that I can like speak directly to your type of business and what you're doing as we go through some of this. And the last thing we're going to be talking about is the ideal programs and prices to have to reach that freedom figure. Okay, so we are going to dive deep. So you walk away from this training knowing what do you need to be making, what that freedom figure is for you, how many people you need to be talking to each month in order to hit that freedom figure, and what programs and prices you should be charging in order to get there. So much information we're going to cover today. I've done this like in an hour and a half training, so hopefully we can get through it all in this quick training here. So to calculate your freedom figure, one of the things you need to first do is look at your personal expenses. And this is where I think that too many people fall short on, and they are not looking at their actual expenses from their personal perspective. They're like, so just knowing, how much do you need to cover your rent, your car payments, your food, insurance, clothing, utilities, kids if you have them, other loans, vacations, hobbies, anything else that you pay on a monthly basis. What are those things? So I've given you some examples here. You want to fill in your dollar amounts there. What is it that you're spending? And then once you know your personal expenses, then you want to take a look at the business expenses. So what are the business expenses that you're going to have? And depending on the type of business, they can vary. But when you have a service-based business, those can be a lot less depending on what you're investing in. So, if you're working from home, you don't need an office, right? So that clears out that. You may have an assistant. When you're first starting out, you don't necessarily need an assistant. You may hire some contract people on an ad hoc basis for things here and there as you need them. Advertising and promotion. This is one of the things that when you're first starting, you don't need to spend a lot on advertising and promotion, because you want to get to a consistent income before you put money into advertising. You may put money into things like sponsorships and speaking events and things like that to get in front of a larger audience, and those are like great investments. But you don't need to be spending tens of thousands of dollars when you're first starting out to try to get your business going. Your coach. Do you have a coach to help you get there? So planning that into your expenses, programs that you want to take, those type of things. What systems do you need? You need a CRM system and a sales page system and email and websites. So those are all different types of systems that you may need. Accounting systems, other things like that you have to pay on a monthly basis. Other expenses that you might need, and always considering saving. So those are just a few of the categories. I go into a lot more detail into this in some of my other templates, but I wanted to get you thinking of like, what are some of those basic expenses that you need to factor in? And so then we get into the types of programs that you can be offering. The types of programs that are going to get you to that income a little faster. And this layout is really specific to service-based businesses, but it can apply to a lot of different types of service-based businesses. So when you look at this, at the bottom there, the one-on-one coaching or done-for-you services is where the starting point is. When you are first starting out, that's all you need. You only need one program. You only need one thing to be offering people, because when you have too many things, it gets confusing. They don't know exactly like what choice to make, and you don't have enough people to fill a group program yet. So when you're getting started, start with one-on-one coaching or consulting or a done-for-you service. Like if you are a web designer, that's your one-on-one, that's your done-for-you service. You're designing their website. If you're a copy editor, that's the service, that done-for-you service that you're providing. So you want to make sure that you've got a good program nailed down, starting with the one-on-one coaching and done-for-you services. Now, I wanted to show you the escalation of how this works. So once you get a full coaching, a consulting, or a done-for-you service, from coaching's perspective, that's typically around 10 to 15, depending on the type of coaching you do, clients that you want to have individually before you move to group. And too many people try to just jump into group, and they don't have enough of a following yet, so they can't fill the group. They don't really have a good message yet because they haven't worked with enough people one-on-one to really get an understanding of what those people need. And so the groups end up not doing so well. They end up not filling up the way they need them to. And so you really want to have all of this in mind of what it is that you're going to start with, what that starting point is for you, what that initial program is. And then you move to a group type teaching program. And then at the top of the rung is the retreat and mastermind style. And those are where you can add in, those are additional group types of programs, but at a higher level. You're charging a little bit more for those. They are really high value, high touch programs. And those are the things, kind of the progression of where you can move. So when you've got this fully built out, these are the different types of programs that you may have eventually to help you get there. So how do you calculate your freedom figure? So we talked about how you get to like knowing what that is. And so let me just go back up here real quick. So in this example, the freedom figure here is $15,600 a month. And I'm going to use this as an example and showing you how you get there. But making sure you've got everything calculated in. So if you're making $10,000 a month in your current job, you've always got to have those extra expenses, right? So 15 is probably a good number to aim for. So getting to your freedom figure, at the top here, we have what are your monthly income goals. So if you have a $5,000 monthly income goal, or $10,000 or $15,000 or $20,000, I've laid this all out for you. Whatever your income goal is, tell me what your income goal is in the comments, because I want to know where everyone's level is, what you're doing, where you're at, so that make sure we hit those. So as you're thinking about your income goal, and let me move myself up here so you can see those numbers. As you're looking at your income goals, then you want to take that and break it down by your program. So what is your average monthly cost of your program? So what that means is if you have, keep some numbers easy here. So let's say you have a 3-month program and you charge $3,000 for that, then your monthly cost is $1,000 a month. So that's the monthly cost of your program. So if it's $1,000 a month, that means that you need 5 clients every month in order to hit your goal. And I'm not going to get into the whole dynamic of paid in full versus payment plan. We're just going to assume kind of a payment plan at this point, but paid in full is always great to hit some income goals quickly, but then you also are providing that service for the next 3 months and you're not getting the payments for the next 3 months. So you do need to spread out when you're thinking about how you're going to spread out the income coming in and how you're going to spend. So you want to have 5 clients per month. That means you've got to take a look at what your sales conversion rate is. So how many of you know what your sales conversion rate is? Tell me what your sales conversion rate is in the comments. So what that means is if you talk to 10 people a month, how many of them are saying yes in buying your program? If you're having 10 sales conversations a month, how many of those people are saying yes? If it's 1 out of 10, that's 10%. If it's 5 out of 10, that's 50%. If it's 5 out of 10 and you're 50%, then you are actually you're not charging enough. So that's something to consider. When you get to a certain conversion rate, a certain higher percentage, some people are like, oh, I'm at like a 90% conversion rate. And I'm like, well, then you're not charging enough. You need to raise your prices because unless you've got a really good filter coming through and only ideal clients are coming through, or you're only getting referrals because referrals are going to close at a higher rate, then you probably you're probably not charging enough for your services, and you can raise your prices and it's not going to hurt your business. You're going to get more. Rates are going to go back down to like 30% is about average. 40% means you're getting to that point where you need to start raising your rates. So hopefully that was a little tidbit for you guys who didn't know. So as you're looking at your numbers, you want to look at, what the conversion rate is to get to your total number of sales conversations. Now, the reason I have 10% in here, the reason that I put this at 10% is because most people starting out, their conversion rate is around 10%. And because if you're talking to 10 people, you can typically close around 1. You can typically, no matter how bad you are at sales, you can typically get 1 person to see what you're offering and want to buy it. But that will go up as you increase, which is also when your income should be increasing and your prices of your things. So we're going to assume a 10% conversion rate on this, which means you need to have 50 sales conversations. And all we're doing is taking this number of 5 clients you need, dividing that by your conversion rate. And I'm going to share with you how you can get a template that does this calculation for you when we're done here. So if you're like, numbers, I can't do this, don't worry. I have simplified this process for you because you need to know. And I think this is the one thing that people need to understand is so many people try to avoid their numbers. And I did this, I'm a recovering CPA. When I first started my coaching business, I was like, I don't want to look at the numbers. I looked at numbers and, most of my life in corporate, and I was avoiding it. And it wasn't until I actually put more focus on my numbers. It wasn't until I actually spent the time to really get clear on what I needed to do to get there that my business started growing. And so that's why I'm sharing this with you. That's why I'm sharing this information with you, because I know what a difference it makes when you know what you're doing. The other problem was, I see so many people doing this, beating themselves up because they're not hitting their numbers. And but the problem is they're not having enough conversations. It has nothing to do with how good they are at what they do or how well they are at converting sales. They're just not getting in front of enough people and having enough sales conversations in order to hit those numbers. So is this eye-opening for any of you? Just give me a yes in the comments. If this isn't just seeing some of this is opening your eyes, because knowing you've got to have 50 sales conversations in order to get 5 clients when you've got a $1,000 program to get to a $5,000 month, that should be an aha for y'all. But then we take this even a step further. You don't need to just have 50 sales conversations. You need to actually be inviting 150 people to a sales conversation. Got it? So what that means, this is a real life multiplier. It just means that out of about 1 out of every 3 people that you ask to a sales conversation, that is your ideal client. So let me clarify that. If you're asking the wrong people, they're not going to come into a sales conversation. They have to be the people that are your ideal clients and need what you're offering. If you invite 150 people, about a third of those typically will take that up. And that's typical conversion rate from like speaking from the stage or sharing information with people, freebies, those kind of things. Those will typically have around a 1 out of 3 conversion rate. So you've got to get in front of 150 people and invite them, actually ask them into a sales conversation with you every month in order to just get your 5 new clients each month. Now, as you grow and your monthly income goal now is $10,000, right? You want to get that 6 figures. 6 figures is $8,333 a month. Getting there, if we still have a $1,000 program, it means you need 10 clients per month, which is a full one-on-one coaching program. So this also shows you how you could have a full one-on-one practice and make 6 figures. You don't have to have a group program. You don't have to have all these other things. That could just be your one-on-one practice. 10 coaching clients every month that you're working with, and you're good. You've got your 6 figures if that's what your goal is. But in order to get those 10 people, now you need to have 100 sales conversations a month. And you've got to get in front of 300 people. So I want to show you a couple modifications to this, right? So like if we look at this $15,000 example, now we've increased the monthly program cost to $1,250, even just $250 a month, and see what the difference is. Now you need 12 clients per month to get to that. Still a good full one-on-one coaching practice. You don't need a group program. You can still get there with one-on-one coaching. If your conversion rate has now increased, because typically by the time you're making $15,000 a month, you've had a lot of sales conversations, and your conversion rate has increased. So now let's say you're at a 20% conversion rate. So that means you need to have 60 sales conversations. So do you see how this went down just because our conversion rate went down and our cost of our program went up? And you got to get in front of 180 people. And again, let's say your conversion rate has now really gone up. You got to a 30% conversion rate. So now you need 53 sales conversations a month. You need to get in front of 160 people. So I just wanted to show you that progression, right? So how you can grow, how you can scale, how you can change the price of your program. It reduces the amount of people you have that you need. And you hear so many people talking about you've got to have high ticket, you've got to have high ticket, you've got to have a high ticket offer. And this is exactly why. This shows you why, because the higher your average monthly cost of your program is, the less clients you need, the less sales conversations you need, and the less number of people you need to be inviting to a sales conversation. So it's actually easier to have a high ticket offer and be talking to less people than to try to do a low ticket offer or online program or group program, because now you are going to exponentially have to increase the number of people you're talking to, the number of sales conversations you need to have. And when you're just getting started, you don't have a big list to push these things out to. So it's so critical for you to be able to see that these are the numbers that are going to help you get there. These, like having that high ticket offer, having the individual one-on-one program or individual done for you services is where you got to start. It gets you to your numbers faster. It gets you that financial freedom figure faster. And then once you get there, you can scale. So a couple program examples. So we talked about the different types of programs, but I wanted to break this down for you into numbers. So I'm using the same freedom figure across the board, that 15,000 that we came up with earlier. So whether you're doing one-on-one coaching, done for you, group, mastermind, and then I show you retreats in a little bit different style because those I calculate numbers a little bit differently. But if you've got a program, you one-on-one coaching program, you want to make 15,000 a month. Say your coaching program is 1,250 a month. You need those 12 clients, same as what we were just talking about. And the time commitment per client is something you want to look at now too. Like, how much time am I going to have to spend per client? So if you're spending, let's say 4 hours, that might be 2 coaching sessions plus some additional, like I call them the SOS calls. My private clients are able to reach out to me once a week with questions, things like that, where in between sessions, just to make sure they're not getting stuck, make sure they're not there. And so whatever your average is, you got to take a look at that. Get you to your total time with clients. This is your total delivery time, right? Because now you're thinking in terms of how much time does it take me to deliver that service in order to make that money. So you could be making 15,000 a month by delivering 48 hours a month, not a week, to get to that number. And what are you doing the rest of the hours, right? Like, you're probably working 48 hours a week in your day job. So now you've got 3 weeks that you could be spending on speaking, doing events, getting your message out there, sharing content with your people to draw more people in. Be having those sales conversations with people, right? So now you've got that extra time to do those things. Now, done for you, same example, 15,000. I've increased the program costs a little bit because your done for you services, you're trading dollar time for hours, right? So you are literally doing a service for them that's going to cost you so many hours. And this is just one example. Your service prices might be very different, might be very similar, who knows, but you've got to figure out what the right price for you is. If you had 2,500, 6 clients needed, thanks Yudamas, I see you there. You would need your total time commitment per client. This is based on one of my clients and what they do. They spend about 15 hours a month doing some marketing and things for their clients. That's 90 hours a month that you're spending to get to the 15,000 based on that program cost. Group program. This is where the numbers are getting into that. You've got to have a bigger following. You've got to have a bigger list, because if you're only charging 500 per client, now you need to have 30 clients into that program every single month. If your time commitment goes down, right? So your time commitment per client goes down because now it's a group setting. You're probably not spending all that amount of time. The first time you do a group program, you're going to spend a lot more time because you're building it out. You're building everything in. The second time you do it, you're just kind of making tweaks. By the third time you do a group program, you've got it nailed, right? You're like, okay, I got this. I'm just showing up for the calls, just doing the training. So those numbers will change based on whether it's your first time doing a group program or your last time. But let's just say, time commits 1 hour per person. So it gives you 30 hours that you're spending, right? So it's more scalable. In the mastermind, there are so many different definitions of masterminds nowadays too. People are calling their programs masterminds. A mastermind group is, where you have a group of people come together where they can mastermind together, they can share ideas, and not everything always is on you. But there are some very high-level masterminds. There are also some lower-level masterminds that people do that are just a way, it's kind of what they're calling a group program. So just sharing that information with you because people put masterminds out there all the time. They can have a lot of different meanings in them. But sticking with a traditional mastermind where it's a high-level mastermind where you're masterminding with a group of like-minded people that are making your level of income or learning something that you need, $1,000 a month that people are paying to be in that program that you're running. You want 15 people in that program to get to your freedom figure. Your time commitment is a lot less with the mastermind. So masterminds can be like once a month, they can be twice a month, they can be, sometimes they have like quarterly, like big workshops where you spend a half a day or a full day. And so the hours can vary depending on how you structure it. But here I'm just saying a half an hour, you get to a total time commitment of 7.5 hours. So I just wanted to show you these examples, and I'll show you one last one which is retreats, because I love retreats. I love doing retreats. They are one of my favorite things. How many of you guys like retreats or going on retreats? Have you been on a retreat before? Just give me a retreat in the comments if you have been on a retreat or you want to go on one, because these are like great ways to get together with a group of like-minded people. And when you step away from your business, step away from it, it can be so transformational. I have had some of the best experiences in my business at retreats. I host retreats on my own. I do co-facilitate retreats with a friend and another business coach that I've worked with for years. And we go all over the world doing retreats. I've also done virtual retreats. So price and structures can be very different. But let's just say I'm taking $220,000, and what that is I've taken the $15,000 per month, but I've also added in some additional business costs, because now you've got to have a venue, you've got to have a gift bag for your people. You're probably going to bring in some speakers or some, massage therapists or whatever you're going to have at your retreat. So your retreats are going to be a little more costly from a business perspective. So you want to make sure that's built into your ticket price. So I'm using a ticket price of $6,000. That might be like a 5-day, 7-day retreat, depending on the location. All of it varies. Number of people you would need is 10 people for that to get to your total retreat revenue of $60,000 per retreat, which means you would need to do 4 retreats a year. So do you see how with just like each one of these, you can take that same $15,000 freedom figure and create your business model based on what you're good at, what you do, what you want to do. I mean, maybe you just want to run retreats. I know someone who's doing 6 retreats next year, and that's all she's doing is retreats. And other people who own, I always suggest starting off with a one-on-one, done for you, those types of services, because those will bring you the most money the fastest. And that's what we all want to get to our freedom figure. I just threw this quote in here. I'm not a product of my circumstances. I am a product of my decisions, because it's decision time, right? You've got to decide. You've got to figure out what's right for you. You've got to figure out what's going to really work for you in order to take the next step. You got to know what your program is going to be. You've got to know what your freedom figure is. You've got to know what those numbers are to help you get there. And it's not always easy to figure that out. Like, it can be something that people spend months, or you have seen people spend years on, just like spinning in this place of like, I don't know what I want to do. I'm going to try to offer this program. That program didn't work, so now I'm going to go offer something else. And instead of coming up with the strategy to start with, instead of coming up with what does your business model look like that's going to help you get to that freedom figure, they just started with kind of pulling things out of the air and saying, oh, this might work and that might work, well, let me try that. And it doesn't always work. So what I want to share with you all today is I said I was going to give you a way that you could get those, get that template where you can download your calculations, your monthly figures on your own. So you can grab that absolutely free at thejumpstartkit.com. And it gives you not just that. So I'm going to tell you a few things that it gives you. One, it's going to give you how to get clear on your messaging and distilling down to that problem you solve. It's going to tell you how to calculate your freedom figure by looking at what your program costs are and getting to how many clients you need to be talking to each month and how many people you need to be getting in front of and asking to clients. It's also going to tell you the 4 best ways to get in front of those people. So I don't have time to go into all the details on that today, but that is all in this Jumpstart Kit. So go to thejumpstartkit.com right now, and you can get all of that information for you absolutely free. And it is going to be something that you're like, oh my goodness, why didn't I have this before? But for the first 5 of you that go grab that, sorry, I'm just looking for the links here for that so I can drop that in there for you. For the first 5 of you who go grab that, I have opened up spots this week to have a conversation with you, so that what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at what your business is, what your model is, what are you doing, and help you understand the one thing that's really blocking you from getting momentum, from taking that next step, from really getting a jump start on your business. Because this is all about jump starting your business. This is all about figuring out where you need to go from here so that you can have your financial freedom. The fun of our kit, go and get a call with me through this, get to that financial freedom number, and have no fear going back to the job, because none of us want to go back to the job if we don't have to. So I cannot wait to talk to you guys. It's been great. See you next week.